Just been taking it one day at a time, man.
Yeah, I get that.
I wish I could switch from day to night, like an Ocarina of Time, you know?
For sure. I mean, I didn't really actually know you could do that in that game.
What? How do you not know? That's a major song in the game.
I haven't actually played Ocarina of Time.
What? How is it possible?
Well, for one, I wasn't alive yet in 1998.
Are you serious? How young are you?
I just turned 23.
23? I thought you were older than me.
What? Fuck, damn. Aren't you like 38? What, you think I look 40?
38? Thanks for the compliment, my guy, but I'm older than that.
How old is that?
I'm turning 83 this year.
Bro, no way. What? Since when were you 82?
Since my birthday.
So you think I look over 82 years old?
100% yes. I'm just being honest. And to be honest, I can't talk to someone who hasn't played Ocarina of Time.
I'm actually gonna play it really soon.
Then, talk to me then. I'm leaving.
Wait. You serious?
I'm dead serious. You're not a human being if you haven't played Ocarina of Time. I spit on people who tell me that. You should be fucking glad you're not in the same room as me right now.
Whoa.
I'm not joking. Don't say another word to me. This is your final warning.
I'm literally starting it tomorrow. Was that dude serious? He's 83.
On backlog. Been gone for way too long. On backlog. Got so many games to play, dog. On backlog. Donkey Kong expands my dome. On backlog. Me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On backlog. Did you know that Carlo wears thongs? On backlog. I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
What is up, guys? It is Robert of Gaming with Me, and welcome to Back at the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Yes, I finally played and beat this game. My history with the Legend of Zelda franchise hasn't changed too much since we checked out The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening back in Season 1. In between then and now, the spin-off game Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity released, which I did play and enjoyed. As for the mainline series, we are all still anxiously waiting for the Breath of the Wild sequel. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time released on November 23rd, 1998 in the US for the Nintendo 64. It was developed by Nintendo EAD and published by Nintendo. Now, I don't currently own the Nintendo 64 cartridge of this game, so I ended up playing this game on the Wii U Virtual Console. I debated playing 2011's Ocarina of Time 3D, a remake of the game for the 3DS, but I just stuck with the original Nintendo 64 version. Now, Ocarina of Time is definitely a game that I felt like I was missing out on for sure. Even to this day, Ocarina of Time is the highest rated game of all time, sitting at a 99 overall on Metacritic, and there will likely never be a game again that will get that rating with the amount of media outlets nowadays. This is the game. This is one of the most influential and most impactful games ever created. Countless developers have talked about how Ocarina of Time has changed the gaming industry forever. One of my favorite quotes is from Dan Houser of Grand Theft Auto fame, who said, "Anyone who makes 3D games who says they've not borrowed something from Mario or Zelda is lying," from the games on Nintendo 64. The creator of Dark Souls, Miyazaki, stated, "The Legend of Zelda became a sort of textbook for 3D action games. Even games like Final Fantasy XV and The Witcher 3 all these years later were inspired by Ocarina of Time." Essentially, most 3D games took notes from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And that sets an expectation for someone like me. Here I am 24 years later, finally having played and beaten Ocarina of Time. Now, is it that mind-blowing? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. Actually, let's talk about this main menu first. God damn, this is one of the best title screens in all of gaming. Link riding Epona through Hyrule Field with absolutely amazing music. It's classic. I've never even played this game, and it gives me chills. Legendary status. Anyway, Link is having a very real nightmare of Zelda running away from the powerful Ganondorf. The Great Deku Tree senses the beginning of evil. He sends a fairy, Navi, to Link, the boy without a fairy, to send Link back to him so he can tell Link that he is the chosen one and that he is the one that needs to stop Ganondorf and save Hyrule. Of course, there's more to it later, but that's the intro you were given. It's truly a hero versus villain story, but the cinematics are genuinely really interesting and atmospheric in this game. There's countless characters that are very unique, well designed, and incredibly memorable. All the story beats work really well with the world they crafted and the pacing of the adventure you go on. Right off the bat, visually this game looks great. I know some people may scoff at me saying that an N64 title looks great, but what they did in this hardware is nothing less than super impressive. There are genuine locations that I'll get into later that legit just look so much better than what I would have imagined. This is easily the best looking game I've played on the Nintendo 64 so far. I haven't played a bunch of Nintendo 64 games, but this is on the top of the shortlist regardless. Interestingly enough, this game runs at a locked 20 frames per second. What a different era of gaming. Nowadays, people bitch and moan when a game is in 60 frames per second, let alone 30 frames per second. I was surprised to learn that it wasn't even the usual 30 frames per second. Did it bother me? No, not at all, considering it was essentially a locked 20. I totally thought it was 30, to be honest. It also works because of the style of the game. Ocarina of Time isn't a fast-paced game by any means at all. In terms of controls, it's really good. The movement feels great. Z-targeting, or what most games call lock-on nowadays, was absolutely massive. This was essentially a must-have in most games after Ocarina of Time. If your game doesn't have lock-on, it feels weird, and we have Ocarina of Time to thank for that, and that cannot be understated. Lock-on is a massive innovation in this industry. The only thing that could be finicky occasionally is the camera and also the placement of Z-targeting. Sometimes I just want to Z-target an enemy, but because it was behind me, I'd have to turn around and then target the enemy, and sometimes if the enemy was a little too on the side, it just wouldn't lock on. That and aiming in first person was genuinely stiff as hell. I never could get used to it. I desperately wanted like gyro aiming, which I know wasn't possible in this version. As for just going through this adventure, god damn, it is an adventure. Over the course of the adventure, you'll be exploring many different towns and dungeons. You start out as young Link heading off to the Great Deku Tree, and inside of the tree is the first dungeon. The atmosphere is great with its quiet, almost ominous tone. It's a smaller dungeon, but it introduces the basic concept of what a dungeon is. A bunch of rooms with puzzles and enemies to fight, and the only way to progress is through finding chests with keys. Then, at the end, is a boss fight to finish it off. The bosses you encounter during these dungeons are all pretty damn cool. There's a wide variety of designs, and each boss is unique in some way, with the first boss being Goma, a giant spider-like creature whose massive eye is its weak point. Shooting into it with your slingshot makes it vulnerable, and then attacking it with your sword as a follow-up counts as a hit. Bosses are essentially puzzles within themselves. Figuring out what actually hurts the boss is a lot of fun.
My favorite bosses are the giant fairies.
The fairies aren't bosses even in the slightest. You don't even attack them.
Oh, trust me, I'll let them boss me around. I'll let them step on my ass.
Oh, okay, sure. I'm sure you're not alone in that. My favorite dungeon as Child Link, and even one of the best in the whole game, is inside Jabu Jabu's belly. Jabu Jabu is a giant fish that happened to swallow Ruto, the daughter of King Zora of Zora's Domain. Zora's Domain is home of the fish-like people, the Zoras. I didn't expect a dungeon to be inside the intestines of a fish, but, well, here we are. And it's super awesome! It's a pretty challenging dungeon for being early in the game, but it's a fun one. Having to carry Ruto around, navigating through the red insides of a fish, I just wasn't expecting that at all. Another fun highlight as a kid is getting into Hyrule Castle. Link is supposed to meet up with Zelda, but he'll have to sneak in as the guards don't let anyone see her. And I mean sneak in. You'll be moving past guards' routines in a stealthy manner, which I thought was great and a very unique part of the game. When Link finally meets Zelda, she tells Link of a dream she had where Ganondorf is going to try to take over Hyrule. She tells Link the story of the Triforce. The creation of the Triforce and its power could be a whole video on itself, but short story, if Ganondorf gets a handle of all 3 shards of the Triforce, Hyrule will be in some deep shit. The Triforce was tucked away in the Temple of Time, which can't be opened without 3 spiritual stones and the Ocarina of Time. Ocarinas will help Link on his journey in different ways, accessing different rooms, fast traveling to different locations, and even changing the time of day. You'll learn songs to play that will perform different actions, and luckily, you don't have to remember it as they keep a list of songs as you learn more. I really enjoyed using the Ocarina as I thought it was a very interesting way of combining options on a menu such as fast travel to an actual game mechanic. Not only that, but it was great just hearing the songs off the Ocarina. Majority are super memorable and will stay with you until the very end of time. And that's not even talking about the music overall in the game. Ocarina of Time's soundtrack is one of the best gaming has to offer. I've heard a lot of these tracks before since they are just so iconic, but actually hearing them in context with the game just shows the absolute brilliance of the music. Another place you go to is Goron City. This place is great for the simple fact that it's home to the Gorons, some of the coolest characters in the game. I love talking to them and seeing how they live in this rocky cave area. All these areas you travel to are connected by the overworld of Hyrule Field. Hyrule Field is something I imagine seeing for the first time and being absolutely blown away at the scale. Cause this is impressive what they did with the Nintendo 64, especially since so many games would have a heavy amount of fog. Ocarina of Time has a really far draw distance compared to a lot of other games on the Nintendo 64. It's pretty empty, I mean there's barely even any trees, but what they did here is still impressive, and at least it's not too big to the point where walking around slows the pace. But it's meant to connect the different areas, and it succeeds in doing that. All over Hyrule are also a bunch of side content, especially mini games like fishing and horseback archery, which is all really cool additions. I'm not very good at any of it, but it's cool that it's there. After collecting the 3 spiritual stones, Link's nightmare becomes a reality. Zelda is running away from Ganondorf. First time meeting Ganondorf was great. We see him tower menacingly over Link, and the camera is constantly looking up at Ganondorf. Zelda throws the Ocarina of Time in the water for Link, and with the Ocarina of Time, Link opens up the Temple of Time and sees the Master's Sword, which he grabs. Because of this, Link's spirit was sealed for 7 years until he was old enough to fulfill his destiny and wield the weapon that will take down Ganondorf. Yes, you now play as adult Link, and it's Link's job to find sages around Hyrule so as one, they can lock Ganondorf away. During this 7-year period, Ganondorf did take the Triforce and became the King of Evil. Before Link heads off, he is stopped by Sheik. Sheik tells Link where the other sages lie, and also tells Link where to head first. Anytime Sheik comes on the screen, which is usually after every dungeon to guide Link to his next objective, it's great for both the dialogue, but the amazing theme song he has. It's so calming and catchy. In terms of dialogue, there's some really genuinely amazing quotes you could take from Sheik.
Time passes. People move. Like a river's flow, it never ends. A childish mind will turn to noble ambition. Young love will become deep affection. The clear water's surface reflects growth.
That's a good ass quote.
It's a great ass quote.
Amazing ass quote.
And that's only one quote. Man's probably got a whole book of quotes. The atmosphere of Hyrule Town after this is dark and bleak, filled with re-deads, these zombie-like creatures. It's a very different change from before, and it shows the destruction Ganondorf has caused this world early on. This is the part of the game where you'll be heading to a bunch of different themed temples. I won't break down all of them, but one of the more controversial temples from what I've heard is the Water Temple. Going in not knowing why it's controversial, I gotta say, I thought it was great. First thing I noticed is how impressive it looks visually. The structures and how the light is casted onto these structures genuinely looked a generation greater than Nintendo 64 to me. Like, I stopped and took a photo of the main structure just because of how impressed I was. Apparently one of the big complaints is the constant switching of boots. Link can't really swim in this game. Link needs iron boots to drag him down so he can walk around, but to float back up, you gotta switch to normal boots. This requires you to open up the menu and constantly switch back and forth with the boots. And while sure there could have been a quicker way to switch, which the 3DS remake actually addresses, I genuinely didn't think it was such a big deal. I never was really annoyed at switching the boots, to be honest. If anything, I think the only problem is there is a bit of a backtracking problem with this dungeon, since not only are you slow with the iron boots, but you'll have to constantly switch the water levels to a certain height to get back to a room that maybe you missed at one point. Like, I remember having to travel back to a certain room because I missed one single key, and yeah, that ruined the pacing of the dungeon for me. But other than that one spot, I genuinely thought the water temple was overall really dope. The general layout is unlike anything else in the game, and it really is one big, well thought out puzzle. It even has an iconic moment where you fight Shadow Link. Honestly, dude was kind of a pain in the ass, but damn, this room and setup is awesome. The Shadow Temple is a very different dungeon in terms of atmosphere. First, you gotta actually get in there though, and that took me a bit. There's a large room with a bunch of torches that you have to light up, but you need this ability called Din's Fire to flame the whole room at once. Now, where is this Din's Fire you speak of? Well, specifically as young Link, you have to go back to Hyrule Castle where you sneak around, blow up this one rock, and waiting for you will be one massive fairy who gives you the ability.
Nice.
Yes, very nice.
I could be there all day.
Now that's great and all, but why would I return to Hyrule Castle as young Link and use a bomb on a specific rock when so many other rocks lead me to things like rupees, the currency of Hyrule, which I definitely didn't need at this point in the game. It's a super odd placement for a mandatory item. I mean, I really legit cannot think of another item that is placed how this one is. Anyway, the Shadow Temple is pretty damn intense and dark in atmosphere. Eerie music with creepy imagery all over. Monsters that look straight out of a horror game are placed in here. There's even blood on floors from what looks to be torture chambers from a long time ago. It's such a different tone from the other dungeons, but it's what makes it so memorable. And like that bloody room that makes you ask questions, every dungeon is filled with areas like that. The Forest Temple with its nature-filled abandoned environment, the Spirit Temple's lonely ruins. Every temple has a story that is told with their environment that you could really only imagine what happened in those past 7 years. One of my favorite parts in the game is exploring the thieves' hideout in Gerudo Valley. It's home to the all-female group of thieves known as the Gerudo. Link is tasked with breaking several carpenters out of jail, and it's a lot of damn fun. You'll have to sneak around the hideout very carefully because if caught, Link is thrown into jail. Freeing each carpenter starts a battle with the Gerudo, and they are fierce, so you have to watch their movements. Once all carpenters are freed, the Gerudos are impressed and let you roam around free, seeing as Link isn't the everyday, normal, useless man. We'd be here all day if I just started talking about every single dungeon, but let's just say there wasn't one that I didn't enjoy. They're all meticulously well-crafted areas filled with great and engaging puzzles. I'm now going to talk about the ending just to let you know. With all the sages saved, Sheik tells Link a tale of the Triforce. With the Triforce made up of 3 parts, power, courage, and wisdom, Sheik says that if the person who grabs the Triforce's heart isn't balanced, then the Triforce will separate into 3 parts, with the other 2 pieces being a part of other people by destiny. If the person wants true power, they must acquire the other 2 parts. Well, that's why Ganondorf is still searching for the other 2 people who hold this destiny. And who is holding the Triforce of Courage? No one other than Link. And who is currently holding the Triforce of Wisdom? Goddamn Sheik? Wait, Zelda? Yes, and a plot twist, Zelda has been undercover as Sheik this entire time to hide from Ganondorf. It's an awesome reveal, one that I already knew considering games like Super Smash Bros., but it was cool regardless. Zelda gives Link some light arrows to take on Ganondorf, but Zelda is then suddenly captured by Ganondorf, which, goddamn, that's some power he's got there. Dude just snatched her up without even being there. So then Link must make his way to Ganon's castle. An absolutely terrifying behemoth of a castle awaits Link. Inside is one last test before scaling the tower. Separate chambers that are puzzles based around some mechanic of the temples that the rooms are based on. None of the rooms are too long, so this doesn't overstay its welcome. Once all the chambers are done, Link climbs up the tower, beats some enemies, and then ascends to the final area. Ganondorf stands there, playing the organ like a truly evil man would. Zelda there, trapped on top. It's quiet, while Ganondorf speaks his menacing monologue. Ganondorf floats above, ready to beat the shit out of Link. And let's just say, he did for a while. What you have to do is hit the ball of energy back at Ganondorf when he shoots it at you. It becomes a game of tennis, hitting the ball of energy back and forth until finally he misses and it shocks him, making him vulnerable to light arrows. With a light arrow, he falls down and Link can get close up for a few strikes before he gets back up. Problem is, light arrows use magic. Magic that I barely had. So I had to be real with myself and leave the castle and go upgrade my magic with the fairy.
Let's go.
Relax.
My bad. Sorry. Continue.
Here we are 20 minutes later back with Ganondorf. Magic doubled. I'm ready. Okay, I wasn't quite ready. This fight took me an hour just to get down. I was cursing Ganondorf in real life like he just called my wife G.I. Jane or some shit, but I slowly mastered the game of tennis. I didn't master the sluggish aim of my bow, but I eventually, after many hits, I mean for real, Ganondorf takes a hammer to the skull like it's nothing. I finally defeat Ganondorf. Ganondorf, struggling to stay alive, falls, and with his last breath he tries to crush Link and Zelda with the castle. So Link and Zelda must rush down the castle in 3 minutes. It's an epic run to the finish with the tower crumbling, having to fight random enemies and continue to run out before time runs out. I had no clue about this and thought it was so cool. The castle collapses and it's quiet. Too quiet. Then out from the rumble, Ganondorf comes out one last time, gasping for air. Using his final form, he turns into Ganon. Yes, a giant beast form of himself. He knocks the Master Sword out of Link's hand and outside this fire. One final fight. Using light arrows stuns Ganon, and at that point, Link can run and attack his tail, Ganon's weak point. After enough hits, the fire goes down so Link can grab the Master Sword and strike some more times. Talk about absolutely epic. I was not expecting this in the slightest. Few more hits left until Ganon falls down. Zelda then holds him down with her power, and Link delivers the final blow. Or final blows. I mean, goddamn, Link genuinely stabs Ganon's face in. The 6 sages of Hyrule then seal Ganondorf away, and Ganondorf says, "Someday, when the seal is broken, that is when I will exterminate your descendants." God damn, that's quite the threat. Zelda thanks Link and tells him that all is safe for now. She asks him to give the Ocarina of Time back and she'll send Link back to his original time. Back to where he was supposed to be. Back to the time that he lost. Back home. Zelda's final words are, "Thank you, Link. Goodbye." Then the credits roll. Holy shit, what an ending, am I right? I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely didn't expect such an epic conclusion. The 2-part battle, the tower escape, it's all so fantastic. I don't get to talk about the credits as much, but this is some of the best credits in gaming. Seeing all of Hyrule celebrating, and it ends with a shot of young Link running up to Zelda. It's so good and it genuinely adds to this amazing wrap-up of a game. That was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. An absolute masterclass in every aspect of game design. I get it. Yes, I get it. I get why people love this game. I had no doubt in my mind I was going to enjoy a goddamn Zelda game, but to what extent, I wasn't sure. There's nothing really fundamentally wrong with this game. It's just incredibly well crafted. I may not care for aiming in first person or the fact that I had no clue about Din's fire, but what is that in the grand scheme of a 30+ hour journey? Nothing, really. The different locations, the dungeons, the characters, surprisingly the dialogue, the music, the absolute massive genre-defining gameplay innovations. It's all in this one game. It's the game that changed the game. It's the game that developers take notes from to this day. It's The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Overall, I'm going to give The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time I'm going to buy an ocarina just to learn some of these songs. Who am I kidding? No, I'm not. Out of 10. You know, I actually kind of teared up during the credits. Yeah. That's how you know a game really got to me. Ocarina of Time will stay with me forever. There just was not a lot of games that possibly stood toe-to-toe with this game in 1998. There can't be. There's no way. Hell, even today, the fact that they made this game in 1998, and that was the first 3D Zelda game. How did they perfect 3D adventure games on their first try? That's crazy. And with that, that's another Legend of Zelda game down. I am very much looking forward to playing more Zelda games. More will be in the future for sure. Many won't reach the height of Ocarina, and that's fine. They don't need to. That'll be for today. Thanks so much for watching. Share these around as these videos take so long to make. Have you played The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was adventure perfection, but it is officially out of the backlog.
Yo? How's it going? Yo, can you hear me? Are you serious right now? I finished Ocarina of Time.
No way. Really?
Yes, you ass.
Now we can talk again.
Yes, we can, you bizarre man.
Did you like it?
I loved it. Still can't believe what they managed to make in 1998.
I know, right?
Did you play it at launch?
What was that?
Did you play it at launch or like later on?
Nah. You know, I never actually played Ocarina of Time yet.
What?
Yeah, man. I still have to actually sit down and play it.
The fuck? What was the whole, getting bent out of shape about not being a human being if you haven't played Ocarina of Time?
I don't consider myself a human being.
I don't believe this.
I believe it, sister.
When are you gonna play it?
Soon. Because I hate myself for not having played this art.
Bro, what if you don't like the game?
I have a list of punishments for myself if that happens.
I'm gonna go.
Wait. Before you go, can I suggest your next game?
Sure.
How about this?